So there's a lot of practitioners here tonight, and sometimes they find it hard to take that first step. And if you could give one practical piece of advice for those people,
Yep.
What would that, like their first step in approaching senior leadership? Because quite often we're coming through the middle, we're not at the top. What would that advice be?
So for them to approach senior leadership rather
Or
than
just,
their team.
or anything to implement that from seed to care.
All right, so it depends which way we're going, right? But if I as a leader want to influence my leaders,
Yeah.
and often that does happen, many safety people, for example, want to try out new ways of doing things, but the board doesn't. Increasingly, to get a care factor role like that, we need board approval. And so, look, to be fair, boards are conservative by nature, right? We've been doing BBS for 35 years, served us really well. Like we hurt shitloads of people, but, you know, and so forth. They need the case for change. You know, they're not going to change if they, and so for me, that's chapter 1 of the book. I put a case for change in chapter 1. Don't talk about trust because it's nice or desirable. There's actually a lot of hard evidence that unless you have that trust, or at least you've overcome the mistrust of the workforce, nothing you do is going to make any difference. Now, you can't expect the board to willy-nilly approve all this new way of thinking unless, number one, you've allayed their fears that terrible things aren't going to happen, because that's what they worry about. And so you do need to make that case for change. And so that's doable. That's our first job usually before we actually begin a rollout, is actually giving a case for change to the board themselves. Yeah, you've got to do it. Yeah. No worries, Mark. Great question. Great sponsor.
Yeah.